Tameika Isaac Devine is here for how Democrats are dealing with it. But first, Kelly Meyer on Capitol Hill. Kelly, good evening.
Hey, Leland. Well, it's who isn't in the room that could have a major impact on the Democratic agenda. You're hitting on exactly what everybody is talking about here on Capitol Hill tonight, Leland. This is what all the buzz is about. What is going to happen to this spot? Democrats want to replace Senator Dianne Feinstein. Republicans are saying not so fast. She hasn't been here in the Senate since she was hospitalized last month with shingles. Her last vote was in mid-February. Even members of her own party are pushing her to resign. Under pressure, she said she would step aside temporarily from the Judiciary Committee. Senator Schumer now looking for her temporary replacement. But Republicans are resisting this option. The first Republican to come out against this was Tom Cotton. He tweeted, quote, "Republicans should not assist Democrats in confirming Joe Biden's most radical nominees to the courts." Now, this just isn't any committee or any spot. This is one of the most coveted positions, coveted committees and powerful committees here in the Senate that essentially holds the keys to the highest court in the land. These judicial appointments last a lifetime, and with the possibility that Democrats might not be in power in 2024 means a tug of war over judicial nominees that could set the agenda across the United States for years to come. And many learned the importance of that during the Trump administration, when the former president getting not just one, but 3 justices appointed to the Supreme Court. And we saw the power of that conservative majority this last summer with overturning of Roe versus Wade. Now, it's unlikely that the Senate will let Republicans in the Senate will let the replacement slide now that they have the leverage to block judicial nominees, even with the minority. So now the question is, what do Democrats do next here? And does this put more pressure on Senator Feinstein to resign completely? Leland?
Yeah, resign from the Senate. And obviously, yeah, we'll see. Interesting position we are in now. Tameika Isaac Devine, former advisor and surrogate for President Biden, with us now. Kelly Meyer, thank you very much. Tameika, I can't sort of help but chuckle just a little bit that who thought it would be Democrats having a fight right now over somebody's age and trying to make that an issue here during 2023?
Yeah, thank you so much, Leland, for having me. It's a pleasure to be here. And, I don't think it's so much of Senator Feinstein's age as it's the fact that she's missing. And I think because of her age and the medical difficulties she's had have taken her longer, and she's been gone for a while. So I think that's the major concern, is how do we make sure that we get these Democratic nominees through, the judicial nominees through, and making sure that, if she's not able to serve, you actually have it at a place where you've got a governor who already says that he's going to, make an appointment that I think most people could rally behind.
Yeah, he said he's going to appoint an African-American woman to the seat. At least a couple of people have talked about Kamala Harris is an odd joke. Probably not going to happen. At the same time, though, look, President Biden's legislative agenda is dead on arrival right now because you've got a Republican House. The only thing conceivably to do over the next 18 months for the president is to appoint progressive Democratic judges, which he's done. They're now all held up in the Senate. But this is bringing the age issue front and center as it relates to Democrats. You think about the math here. Biden's age, 80. McConnell, 81. Dianne Feinstein, 89. You combine that, you get 250, 18 years older than the actual city of Washington, D.C. itself. So you think about that. I think it meant to be 232 years old. But this issue now of age is front and center. You think about Joe Biden right now, who just got back from his trip to Ireland. Watch this interaction with a young child there.
What's your question?
What's the top step to success?
What's the top what?
Step to push back here in every one of the shots.
Step to success?
Yes.
Or making sure that we don't all have COVID. What are you talking about?
That we don't all have COVID. Wait, what are we talking about here? So there is that. Is age really something that Democrats want on the top of mind of voters right now?
I don't think it's age. Again, I think that the conversation around Senator Feinstein or any Democrat or Republican who is missing for long periods of time from the seat that they're elected to should be about whether or not they're actually able to perform the duties that they've been elected. And I think that's the major conversation. And so as a Democrat, I wouldn't talk a lot about Senator Feinstein's age. I'll be focusing on the fact that, she has shingles, she was in the hospital, she's not able to come back. And this is a critical time to make sure that we have every single Democratic senator there so that we can push through what we can. So I think the age thing is a lot of folks want to talk about the age. It's not about her age. She could be 89 and doing very well, and still performing. And if she was performing and doing very well, I don't think we'd be having that conversation.
Well, certainly if she was there, there's obviously she was able to win re-election, which is interesting. There was not an issue, to your point. Then she was there, she was voting. That in the end sort of seems to what matter in the Senate. Tameika, thank you very much. We appreciate it. Good to see you.